Alright, Shalom. First of all, we want to start by giving all praises, glory, and honor to
Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushua, Hashem, Kakadash.
double honors to our elders and the apostles and our teachers of the great millstone who rule well, and peace, love, and salutations to the Bayak Dawada, the house of David. Alright, so it's GMS Boston. We're on scene here in the Boston Commons in front of the George Washington memorial site. And as you can see, they got this devil up on high, but it goes to show you the pride of Esau, Edom, and them doing what the prophecy stated that they would do, going around putting monuments and staking their claim, all right, and naming the lands after themselves around the earth, all right. And Boston, Massachusetts, is, as we've been going into, is the spirit of America. So it speaks volumes, and it's indicative to the nature of Esau, Edom, man, to pride himself up, to put himself on horses, as it was written. That was prophecy. Go ahead, brother.
Ecclesiastes chapter 10 verse 7.
Yep.
I have seen servants upon horses and princes walking as servants upon the earth.
Now, when you go into the prophecy, it was stated that the elder shall serve the younger, right? And who was the elder? The elder was the first one that came out with Esau, which was the progenitor of the so-called white race. But right now, in this time, when with him being in power, all right, and the curses being upon our people, the scriptures say that I have seen servants, all right, on horses, and that's the reason why you saw Edom on a horse. And the brother was bringing out a while back that you had those cops in, I think it was Dallas, Texas, and they had Jake. They was on a horse and they had Jake and that rope, but that's stirring up that old hatred and also fulfilling prophecy as well. And this is what this thing is about. This thing is of the scriptures, and the spirit of the Lord is about fulfilling prophecy. Go ahead.
Read it again.
Yep.
Ecclesiastes chapter 10 verse 7. I have seen servants upon horses and princes walking as servants upon the earth.
Now, Yashala, which is he's the prince of power, which is our people, the seed of Jacob. All right, you so-called blacks, Native Americans, and Hispanics. You people are the princes of the power. The best thing Yahweh, our Father, has created was Yahweh Shah, and He created His elect. All right, and this is what we spawned out of, the so-called black, Native American, and Hispanic man. We're the greatest people on earth. We was given that promise through Abraham, all right, to be princes and to rule the earth. But right now, Lamentations chapter 4. You gotta have a coop too. But we have a coop. But hold that real quick. But right now, okay, this is the time in which we're wrapping up the end of this captivity that we was made into serve, so that the Most High could exalt His true men of the Lord, and we could exalt the true powers, Yahweh and His Son Yahweh Shai.
Lamentation chapter 4 verse 21. Rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom, that dwellest in the land of Oz. The cup also shall pass through thee. Thou shalt be drunken and shalt make thyself naked.
But Esau, Edom has to be exposed. That men of sin has to be exposed. You got Habakkuk. Go ahead.
This is the book of Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 16. Thou art filled with shame for glory.
Yep.
Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered.
You see, and this is what people come here to see, America. They see these statues. All right, they see what they was paraded as great men. But when you go into this devil's history, he was a slave owner, man. All right, he owned plenty of slaves. Matter of fact, his seed line is running through here to this day, man. All right, so he's guilty of receiving stolen property, all right, which is a crime according to the scriptures that's worthy of death. So he's no hero. Okay, go ahead.
I got something on George Washington. It says George Washington first became a slave owner at the early age of 11.
Yep.
Okay. When Washington's father, Augustine, died in 1743, George Washington became a slave owner at the early age of 11. In his will, Augustine left his son the 280-acre family farm in Fredericksburg, Virginia. In addition, Washington was well 10 slaves as a young adult. Washington purchased at least 8 more slaves, including a carpenter named Kit. Washington purchased more enslaved people in 1755, including 4 men, 2 women, and a child. Okay.
Yep. What you got? What's that? Second.
And that's the first one.
Okay, yeah, con. Now, when you go into the scriptures, you go into the law. The scriptures say, if a man stealeth a man and he be found in his hand, he should surely be put to death. Now, I gotta add that there's proper ways. The Bible talks about slavery. There's proper ways to hold somebody in slavery, but you gotta let them go after they've done work for you for 7 years, and then after that 7 years, you set them off to be free. But what you don't do is you don't rape their women, you don't beat the hell out of them, all right, for no reason. All right, you don't do the things that they've done to us. They've done it in wickedness, man, and for that they have to pay for it.
You want the law and slavery?
Yep.
All right, this is Exodus 21. I'll start at 1. Now these are the judgments which thou shalt set before them.
Yep.
If thou buy an Hebrew servant, 6 years he shall serve, and in the 7th he shall go out free for nothing.
And that's completion. And he should go out for free for nothing. Go ahead.
If he come in by himself, he shall go out by himself. If he were married, then his wife shall go out with him. If his master have given him a wife, she have borne him sons or daughters, the wife and her children shall be her master.
So with everything according to our book, all right, we have laws, we have judgments, we got statutes. So everything is perfection when you're going into Yahweh's laws. But Esau, Edom, you think he let us go after we served for 6 years? No. You had Jake that served their whole lives. You had kids, legit kids in the cotton fields picking cotton until they died at an old age, man. All right, and that's just completely off. Hold that real quick. You got. Yeah, go into that real quick. Slack.
This is Exodus 21 and 16.
Yep.
And he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death.
So George Washington wasn't a Christian. He wasn't anointed. He wasn't an Israelite. He wasn't a righteous man. He wasn't a man of honor. I wasn't a man of valor. He was none of those things. All right, he was a coward. And we're living in the times in which they got to be exposed for all their wickedness, and that's according to the scriptures, man. Them shameful spewing.
I still got that. Habakkuk 2 and 16. Thou art filled with shame for glory. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered.
Because when you're the wicked, all right, you have nothing to honor in. So what you got to do is you got to transform the minds of the people to make them believe that the wicked things that you've done, that you paraded as a success, were righteous things. This is the reason why the whole world is flipped upside down, man. All right, everything Esau does is according to his wickedness. Go ahead.
The cup of the Lord's right hand shall be turned unto thee.
And this is what's happening to this day. Those curses are now coming upon the so-called white man. And this is because of the prophets of the Lord that truth is coming out. The vibration that we're pushing forth throughout the earth, can't nobody refute it now. So now it's getting into the ears of mainstream media pundits and things of that such through Facebook, alternative news, all right, alternative media, all right, because this voice, this gospel is hitting the four winds of the earth, and this is how the end is going to come.
Continue. Finish this off. And shameful spewing shall be on thy glory.
And shameful spewings is on their glory, and this is what we're here to do. Put a mirror to America, man. Splash a bucket of cold water into the Americans' faces, man. Right. And that cold water is the truth. Go ahead. Yep.
Lamentation chapter 4 verse 21. Rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom, that dwellest in the land of Uz. The cup also shall pass through thee. Thou shalt be drunken, and shalt make thyself naked. The punishment of thy iniquity is accomplished, O daughter of Zion.
Yeah, the punishment of our iniquity is being now wrapped up because the tabernacles of David are rising up. And men are coming into these camps, going more in the spirit. The word is flowing. All right, everything's coming together. Okay, go ahead.
The punishment of thy iniquity is accomplished, O daughter of Zion.
Yep.
He will no more carry thee away into captivity.
Because this is the last captivity we got to go through. All right, go ahead.
He will visit thy iniquity, O daughter of Edom. He will discover thy sins.
And now this is our job. This is a job that we got to do. All right, this is the order. All right, we've been ordained to come out here and stand on these very same spots where our people was held in captivity. They got willow trees over here. The scriptures talk about us crying underneath these willow trees, and remembering Zion hanging in our hearts. But now, through the Spirit, it was in 2019, the year of Karagma, we're those same men that were brought over here in cargo slave ships, or the northern kingdom that were conquered, are the same men speaking boldly against our oppressors, man, and telling them to their face that, look, you're going into captivity for what you did to the children of Israel. And the land where it was said that we were not the children of Israel, it is being said that we are the children of Israel, right? All these prophecies are happening.
Come on. Psalms 127 verse 7.
Yep.
By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down.
Yep.
Ye-
Now, this is King David. All right. This Babylon wasn't talking about the ancient Babylon over there in the Middle East. All right. It was talking about.
The river of Babylon, there we sat down, yea, we wept when we were Zion.
Yep.
We hang our harps upon the willows in the midst thereof.
Yep.
For they that carry us away captive require of us a song.
Yeah, they recorded us of a coon song, but through the Spirit, the Lord has put that new song in us to sing to the earth. But that new song is a song that they don't want us to sing. But we're gonna sing it anyway, right? Because the days of listening to Esau or being directed by his demonic ways and his philosophies, those days are over. And that's all thanks to the Spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, him setting up the head apostles to teach this word the right way. All right, and then the men that gravitated towards that branch, and they passed the baton on. And this is our job, to pass the baton on to the people. All right, as the teachers of Israel, the true teachers of Israel.
God. For there, they that carry us away captive require of us a song, and they that wasted us require of us mirth.
Yep, mirth. And that's why they want us to be, even to this day. They want us to be followers of Tekashi 6ix9ine. They want us to be what is the state of black culture? That's Joe Buttons. They want us to take that serious. They want us to take on celebrities as our leaders, right? The ways of this world, you know, to lead us out of here. But we know that that's not the case, man. We know that that is not true.
Go ahead, come. Sing us one of the songs of Zion. How shall we sing the Lord's song in a strange land?
Yep.
If I forget the old Jerusalem, let my right hand forget her coming.
Yep. And you got a lot of guys that say, oh, you know, that whole Hebrew Israelite things is washed away with. The doors are open up until everybody now, right? Here, the Gentiles, right? Because the Israelites rejected them, right? But go ahead, brother. What does the scripture say?
Verse 6, if I do not remember thee, let my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth.
And how does the Heavenly Father talk? He talks to his prophets. And aren't his prophets on the corners, on highways and byways, teaching his word? Absolutely they are. So the Heavenly Father is still using his mouth. He's still speaking. All right, the scripture say the Spirit speaketh expressly, man. All right, and wisdom crieth without in the chief place of concourse. All right, go ahead.
If I prefer not Jerusalem above my chief joy.
If I prefer not Jerusalem above my chief joy. So he still has a people who he prefers above everybody else. Go ahead.
Verse 7, remember, O Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, the children of Edom,
Yep.
in the days of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof.
Yep.
O daughter of Babylon, who ought to be destroyed.
Yep. And now we're going to destroy Esau, Edom first spiritually, man. Before he's destroyed physically, we got to destroy him spiritually. And how did he establish this place? By lies. So how do we defeat this place? By way of the truth. Go ahead, tell me.
Quick precept. Jeremiah 49 verse 10. But I have made Esau bare.
Yeah.
I have uncovered his secret places.
That's right. Bohemian Grove, right? Jekyll Island,
Pizzagate.
right? Pizzagate.
Hey, if I may, one of the main guys that is into that occultism that started, which is a 33-degree Mason and all this shit,
Yep.
is that man on that horse right there. You know,
He's a proud Freemason.
Freemason.
You know, that's not like hidden information
Right, that's-
or a secret. You know, it's a conspiracy theory. You
Right.
can openly look that up.
Yeah, he
Right.
took many pictures with the apron on,
Right.
with
The two
Yeah.
fingers up that
Yep,
comes
the
all the way
compass.
from.
Right, and now when you
Yep.
get into the 30th degree, that's full-fledged Satanist
Satanist,
worship, man.
Satanist.
You got to drink blood. You got to participate in the
Right.
rituals.
Right.
You got to lay down with little boys, because what they want to do is they want to invoke the most demons that they can to please their power, which is Satan.
And
why
they-
do you think he got that one little boy?
Right.
When he brought the 8 additional slaves, he said, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna have a little boy too, a little child."
Right, and they call him the main, the greatest founding father. Well, if he founded, and his beliefs is on Satanism, what do you think he founded America on?
Right. It's also flip side to that is John Adams, who is also one of the so-called founders, was the vice president of the so-called United States of America. Now he was from right here in Braintree, Mass. And then his son John Quincy Adams, who I believe was the 6th president, they're all under that same vibration. And now you understand why it's known as Boston or Massachusetts is known as the Spirit of America. Because two of the so-called founding presidents were father and son. Okay, and they put forth this whole, like we go into a little bit of every now and then, the Massachusetts Constitution. The Massachusetts Constitution was the groundwork for the modern United States Constitution.
Yep.
Okay,
And that's the spirit too, because what came out of before you had what was called Freemasonry, you had the Knights Templar, which was these societies that directly invaded Jerusalem, invaded the temple. So when you go into the book of Psalms, when they said raise it, when they went into it, out of that order became these secrets that were passed down from generation to generation, which all these skull and bones, Knights Templar, Freemasonry, all these the secret societies that hold these secrets, but they're the illuminated ones because they know the truth. They know directly of who the children of Israel were. They made the what's it called? You see the thing to commemorate the Ark of Titus. The Ark of Titus, which was the symbol to commemorate the taking down of Yasharallah. But these Amalekites, they're hell bent. Anything you say against them, they talk about anti-Semitism. Well, you ever wondered why don't these Khazars ever complain about the Ark of Titus? That is the most biggest commemoration of taking down the Jews. But they never get butthurt about that. They relish of that because they know that it wasn't their people. That the Ark of Titus was commemorating the taking down of Jake and not their people. You're not gonna hear them, oh, take this statue down. They won't allow a statue of Hitler or anything that portrays the taking down of our people, but they know through the spirit that it wasn't their people that were taken down, it was us, and they relish in that, man. Like they relish in the fact of our people being taken down to this day. They gave bottles, like it says in Revelation, and they celebrate the downfall of our people.
The so-called Jewish, they had the biggest hand in the slave trade, and I believe I heard it was George Washington himself was a Khazar, the so-called Jew. That's what I've seen some documentary where they were talking about how his line, it goes back to Judaism.
Right. And even if he wasn't, he's a goddamn Edomite. Yeah, he's an Edomite. Regardless of his tribe, he's an Edomite, and his ass is gonna be born again, and he's gonna go back into captivity, and he's gonna serve his term, and then he's gonna be put to death like with the rest of his comrades.
Yeah.
Article about the evil doing of George Washington when he was in power, if you don't mind. Yeah.
Jeremiah 49:10. But I have made Esau bare, I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren and his neighbors.
He can't hide. This is being exposed on RT, YouTube, the radio, billboards. The whole world is getting hit to this devil, man.
Even his own tongue. His tongue is falling upon himself.
Yeah, and where his tongue doesn't fall upon him, we're here to cover the rest.
That's right.
We're here to cover the rest, because the brother's gonna get into this article, but then we wanted what I'd like to talk about, if the brothers don't mind, is how there was a whole another country before this man. Before this man ruled over this country or was president over this country, there was a whole other part of that gets overlooked, So I want that brother to read that, and then we'll start touching on a couple other things.
And the headline says George Washington letter described killing of native as villainy. I don't know if I'm saying the word villainy. Yeah. He says okay. Now I'm just going to jump down to the point. Let's also keep in mind that Washington view on Indian relation changed over time. Just 10 years after this letter to Armstrong in 1779, he instructed Major General John Sullivan to attack Iroquois people. He said, "Lay waste all the settlement around, that the country may not be merely overrun, but destroyed. In the course of the carnage, and annihilation of the Indian people, Washington also instructed his general not to listen to any overture of peace."
Let me say this real quick, because I'm glad you pulled that out, because a big part of the purpose behind us doing these shows, these location shows, is to show that there was another side from what they learned in history class. Because history class in school, whether you took American history or world history, they paint these figures as benevolent, like they were kind, like they were righteous, like they were God. The exact opposite, like the brother mentioned, that these were hardcore Satanists, man. And don't think Satanism is a new thing with Aleister Crowley. They've been following behind Satan for a long time, for many centuries, man. Have they been having these secret love for a worship of something different other than what the Heavenly Father laid out? Because the bottom line is, they're not the chosen people. So it's likely that the people that are against us would be against our power as well. So Satanism is not a new thing, right? And George Washington was a big proponent of it. It's well documented. He's a big proponent of it. There's pictures of him posing like Baphomet, right? It's heavily documented that he was a wicked man, and this is just more of that. What was done here in this country, right, in the inception of America, to the natives, to Judah, to Benjamin, Levi, the things that happened to them to establish this country were not good things, man. They were not good things, and school will teach you that it was kind of what we had to do, but there's a way to do everything, right? But again, it was all according to prophecy. Go ahead, bro.
That's all right. I'm just finished. Yeah. He says instructed his general not to listen to any overturn of peace before the total ruin of their settlement is effected. His anti-Indian sentiment were again made clear in 1783 when he compared Indian with wolves, saying both being beasts of prey. Wolves. Salaki. Yep. Do it one more time. Yep. His anti-Indian sentiment were again made clear in 1783 when he compared Indians with wolves, saying both being beasts of prey. So that's how you look at the
of course you would look at them like that.
Yeah.
Because Gad wasn't having it, man.
Yeah.
Gad wanted to protect their land at all costs. That would make any man an animal of prey, if you will. If I always think of this, I'm a pretty dormant guy. I'm a pretty laid back guy, but I always think like, what would I do if somebody was trying to get in my house? You'd be a completely different man. So if somebody's trying to get into your house and trying to take over your home, that would change the kindest man into an evil man, or to what would be perceived as an evil man.
Hey, if I may, wolves are also what? Very territorial. Mm-hmm. They're territorial animals. They do everything for their flocks. And at the same time, everything that they do is for each other within their herd. Very ordered.
Very protective animal.
So he couldn't choose a better,
But they knew who they were dealing with. It wasn't a mystery to them. It's a mystery today. Right. But when in these times, it wasn't erased history who the Israelites were. They knew who the Israelites were, and they knew what their duty was in taking the Israelites out.
It wasn't a sentiment of we gotta be politically correct on how we deal with them.
Right.
It was that they're the enemy, they're the adversary, and it was a war. It was a constant war. When you go into it, how many so-called Indian American wars America has fought, you will be astonished, man. You will be so shocked. Yep. It was an endless, and it still goes on to this very day.
Yep. You look at Gad in Issachar, down by the borders. Yeah. It's still war with Issachar, and
they're trying to get back there. Yeah. It's the same war.
Yeah. Of course it is.
That's where them old 50, 60 movie, them cowboy and Indian movies. Yep. Those were all battles and wars fought where the North American Indians were fed up and they were trying to retain their land, man.
And they use that as for glorification to glorify their people. You do have the Indians versus the Cowboys and sports, the Redskins, and they throw it in your face.
Right.
I got
real quick. Now, when you look at that statue over there, he has his sword drawn. Right. Okay. And what does the scripture speak about? Yet they drawn swords. Right. When you draw your sword, you're getting ready for action, man. You're getting ready for battle. Okay. So this devil was all about battle, man, especially towards the children of Israel. And even to this very day, going down from John Quincy Adams to John Adams to all the other devils that fall behind them, okay? Their whole thought process was what? Get rid of these people. Get rid of them. and they still feel that very same way today, man. And we're about to face that trouble, man. We're about to face these troubles during the time of Jacob's trouble. It ain't gonna be trouble from Jake hitting Jake. It's gonna be Esau coming on Jake, man. Israelites. So that's just about to come to a head, man. Now you get a fucking pimple on your face, it comes to a boil, and all of a sudden it comes to a head, and then it's ready to go. That's what's about to happen right now, man. Okay, but we here to let you know that these devils have not changed. There's no good Edomite, man.
Yeah, that's
and there's
it.
no good Edomite that's gonna be in the kingdom talking about we brothers.
Right.
That shit ain't gonna happen, man.
1776 wasn't that long ago.
Right.
It wasn't that long ago. And the proof of that is when you go in these neighborhoods, when you go over there into Beacon Hill, it's all the same architecture. The neighborhood stands as it did in 1776.
You'll see it inscribed in these buildings, built in 1881 or something like that.
Right.
So if this building is,
That wasn't that long ago.
There are a lot of these buildings are historical sites.
Yeah.
Because devils like this made an office in there or had some type of meeting house where certain plans and certain legislation was passed.
Well, that, if I may, I took the article away, but I just read that actually the guy that constructed that image, he had an office here on Tremont Street, right here.
Yeah.
That's where he did the design, and everybody, the whole neighborhood, all the Edomites, they chipped in. It was a fundraiser that they did to erect that. So imagine their sentiment. This was erected in the 50s, I believe it's the 50s that they said. But yeah, so imagine the sentiment that those crackers had, man. They,
come on. Now, what Esau did 3,000 years ago, what he did during the time of Alexander the Great, all that holds weight to this day.
Yeah.
All that holds weight. His constitution. You want to take the good without taking the bad. You want to take all the benefits of Western society, but you don't want to take the bad about what happened with our people. It don't work like that. Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 10. Thou hast consulted shame to thy house by cutting off many people, and have sinned against thy soul. For the stone shall cry out of the wall, and the beam out of the timber shall answer it. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood, and establisheth a city by iniquity.
And that's what they did, man. That's what they did. This country was gotten by ill-gotten gains, I think the saying is. They killed, they robbed, they murdered, they pillaged, and in a sneaky way, man. And that's just how they operate. They're for them, killing is a means to an end. The end is to take over. So killing and pillaging is just how to get there. Somebody get Lamentations 2 and 15. Yeah.
It's Lamentation chapter 2 verse 15. All that pass by clap their hands at thee. They hiss and wag their head at the daughter of Jerusalem, saying, is this the city that men call the perfection of beauty, the joy of the whole earth? All that enemy have opened their mouth against thee, they hiss and gnash the teeth. They say, we have swallowed her up. Certainly, this is the day that we look for.
Certainly, this is the day that we look for. So when they finally was able to let loose, they let loose, man. Surely this is the day that we look for. And when you read about how the soldiers that were under George Washington, how they felt about him, you got to think, like, I always think of the psychology behind everything, right? You had George Washington, he was killing Gad with reckless abandon. Now imagine the people that were under him, like, man, this dude, he's raw with it, they were able to live vicariously through him, man, through his and he probably had the mentality, what y'all waiting for? You know what I mean? This is our time.
Because he was a general. He wasn't a general for no reason. He was a general because he was getting his knife wet.
Let me say this real quick. And Esau still uses some of Alexander the Great's tactics when going into war, man. So that's just another example of how this whole thought process, this whole sentiment about the so-called white man and his structure, it continues up to this very present day as we stand here, man.
And this is Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 2. Thus saith the Lord power, because the enemy has said against you, aha, even the ancient high places are ours in possession. That goes into what the elder was saying. Like, this is something that they look forward to. They look forward to the taking down of Yasharallah. Likewise, this is something we look forward to. You don't think when we get in power, we're going to say, get amongst each other and say, hey, why y'all watching me shot? This is the day that we was looking forward to. The day that the Lord lifted us up so that we could be able to take down our enemies. These blessed days is what we look forward to, because Jacob and Esau were just natural born enemies, man. And only the men that's in the know understands these things, man. We're just natural born enemies. The elites know and we know, you know?
19, you shall have joy in my heart to be happy. In the 10th, I will order my tongue. O men that have joy with children, and he that liveth to see the fall of his enemy.
Constant prayer. And that's what we waiting for, man. That's what we waiting for. So if we could go into this, my brothers don't mind. So this is a article that was written on John Hanson, right? So as the story is told, you know, George Washington is the first president of the United States. But George Washington is only the first president of the United States underneath the U.S. Constitution. But there was another form of government before the U.S. Constitution. There was another document that they lived under called the Articles of Confederation. And this man, John Hanson, was the first to be president over that new government. So as you read this, I've read it, you know, dozens of times, but I just read it again. But as you read this, like I said, I look at the psychology of things, right? Now here you have a newly cemented nation just declaring its independence from its mother nation, right? So they don't know what they're doing, right? They just knew that they didn't want to live underneath the tyranny of Britain. So they didn't know how to establish a country or what was going to go on or how it was going to run. So what did they do? Hey, won't you, you know, be the guy to be the first one? And they put a Jake underneath the rulership, I guess, if you will, under the Articles of Confederation. Now, the Articles of Confederation was basically a document. It allowed each state to have its own sovereignty, right? Whereas now you have, you know, we're all under the federal government. It was all individual governments that we were confederate. Well, I don't want to use the word we, but each state was confederate with one another, right? So they had their own power.
It was a confederation rather than a federation.
It was a confederation rather than a federation, right? So it was just separate sovereignties that agreed that they were a country. They agreed that they were a nation, and this is what they ruled on. So I'm just read a little bit of it. I won't touch too much. I'll read the first paragraph and then I'll read this paragraph here. So it says, who was the first president of the United States between 1781 and 1782 AD? George Washington was really the 8th president of the United States. George Washington was not the first president of the United States. In fact, the first president of the United States was one John Hanson. He is one of those great men that are lost in history. The new country was actually formed on March 1st, 1781 with the adoption of the Articles of Confederation. This document was actually proposed on June 11, 1776, but not agreed upon by Congress until November 15, 1777. Maryland refused to sign this document until Virginia and New York ceded their western lands. Maryland was afraid that these states would gain too much power in the new government from large amounts of land. Once the signing took place in 1781, a president was needed to run the country. John Hanson was chosen unanimously by Congress, which included George Washington. In fact, all the other potential candidates refused to run against him, as he was a major player in the revolution and extremely influential member in Congress, right? So again, hey, you know, won't you go ahead and nobody wanted to pull the trigger on that thing, man. So they put Jake in power, but a lot of the things that he implemented, well, they kept when they implemented the Constitution.
Right, and that's no, it shouldn't be no surprise too, because we've always found our way to the top of these governments, going back to Egypt, Babylon, the Persians.
And then so what I've been working on a piece, and what I've been finding out is that history as told in school is inaccurate. We believe that we were just these passive slaves, but there were a lot of figures like John Hanson that were a large part of this country, man. A large part of the establishment of this country. Same way as, like the brother mentioned, Joseph in Egypt, right? When you get Daniel in Babylon, you get even all the way up to more modern times where you got this guy They called him the Count of France, I believe, the Black Count, which was I wish I could remember his name. I want to say Dumas was his name, who was a count, a general under Napoleon. Under Napoleon. So this is nothing new. We've always been a part of history. We've just been removed from it.
Right. And they always try to make it seem like all we was doing was picking cotton.
general
Slaves
and
was cotton
yeah.
pickers, but we were plumbers,
Well said.
electricians,
Well said.
we were teachers,
Yep.
we were
Yep.
doctors, we were your everything. It
All
wasn't
labor,
just-
all labor, every anything that had to do with labor, like the brother mentioned, these different trades, was all Jake, man. So without their ironwork know-how,
Right.
without their construction know-how, without their architecture know-how, without their medical know-how, this country would have failed.
Right.
Right. Same thing with Africa. When we went into Africa, we made Africa flourish, man.
Yep.
They weren't wearing the garbs and things that they were wearing until Israel got there. When Israel got there, they seen the way we lived, they seen our lifestyle, they seen that we were that peculiar and special people. Okay, they took on our identity, if you will.
There's this book called Before the Mayflower that I had read some time ago. It said that the Israelites were the ones that civilized that part of Africa that we went into. We showed them how to, how to keep up themselves and how to act like the government and everything like that. We were those people, man.
When Slaki, if I may, but when the Edomite came here in this land, the Gadite teach them same thing. They teach them how to leave, how to plant. They teach them about the herbs in the tree, the medicine, thing to take, thing not to take.
Seasons,
when
the harvest,
even
when
the government, we had a form of government, way of leadership and those roles. They even took that.
contrary to belief, right? That they were just these wild animals roaming the land, butt naked, but they had order, man. Structure. They had order. They had structure. So let me read this next piece here. I'm skipping down a little bit, but it says Hansen established the Great Seal of the United States, which all presidents have since been required to use on all official documents. President Hansen also established the first Treasury Department, the first Secretary of War, and the first Foreign Affairs Department. Yep. Lastly, he declared that the fourth Thursday of every November was to be Thanksgiving Day, which is still true today. The Articles of Confederation only allowed a president to serve a one-year term during any 3-year period. So Hansen actually accomplished quite a bit in such little time. 6 other presidents were elected after him. Elias Boudinot.
Yeah, that's the Indian guy.
Yep, 1783. Thomas Mifflin, 1784.
That's Boston down there.
Yep.
Guy from Boston.
Yep. Richard Henry Lee, 1785. Nathan Gorman, 1786. Arthur St. Clair, 1787. And Cyrus Griffin, 1788. All prior to Washington taking office. We don't hear about the first 7 presidents of the United States. Why don't we hear about the first 7 presidents of the United States? It's quite simple. The Articles of Confederation didn't work well. The individual states had too much power and nothing could be agreed upon. A new doctrine needed to be written, something we know as the Constitution. George Washington was definitely not the first president of the United States. He was the first president of the United States under the Constitution we follow today, right? So again, this is not a new thing. This is not a new thing. There are our people being a part of the foundation of the wealth, the information, the power of a nation. It's not a new thing. We've always done that. Go ahead, bro.
If I may add too, because not only that, but while John Hanson was president, you have a lot of Levite that were fighting in the Revolutionary War along with Judite.
Yep.
So a lot of them was in that Revolutionary War, but guess what? They all promised freedom after the war,
Yep.
but they never got it.
Yeah, this guy Dumas was from Haiti. So was known as Haiti today. Look into that dude, man. It was a bad dude. Thomas Alexander Dumas. Look into that dude.
He was also a writer,
I
right?
can add to the power in deception that Esau uses by saying the
One
first.
was a general.
How he says that
one was a
Barack
right
Obama
hand
was the
soldier.
first president, or he'll say a particular lady was the first scientist trying to basically, and they'll say this is probably like 1992 or 1980 or 18 something, trying to negate a whole history of what we've been saying. So by them saying this is the first, the psychological effect of it is like, damn, what has our history been? Our history has been completely nothing. When you go into Daniel's, what was Nebuchadnezzar do? When he captured Israel, he sent forth his men specifically to go out and find the brightest, the sharpest men. Daniel wasn't just a prophet. Those were wise men, man. They had wisdom about everything concerning the world. But this is what these other nations do. They search us out and they go search the wisest men so they could lead and they take heed. So the deception of the first president or the first a great nation of people. Don't be fooled by it.
I got an article right here. This is from the Atlantic.com. It says George Washington was a master of deception. Right?
As the brother was just talking about.
It says the founding fathers relied on deceit, champion America's independence, and that has lessons for the present. All right, so I'm gonna jump down to the third paragraph. It says Washington began using deception as soon after he took command of the Continental Army in 1775. After a summer of skirmish around Boston, rebel gunpowder was nearly gone. Washington's soldiers had enough only for 9 bullets per man. To hide this potentially fatal weakness from the British, while he scrambled to get supplies, Washington ordered that fake gunpowder casks be filled with sand and shipped to depots where they would be spotted by the British spies. He also ordered a secret paramilitary mission to seize gunpowder stores in Bermuda that failed only because another secret rebel mission had gotten there first, but nobody bothered to tell Washington. All right,
Real quick, and this is why they love this devil, because he was a lying, conniving, deceitful fucking leader, man. And that thrives in the Edomites' blood, man. That's the Esau's blood. That's why they call him the devil, the deceiver.
Right.
Go ahead.
It says throughout the wars, Washington wrote reports inflating his troops' strength and were designed to fall. Inflating his troops' strength that were designed to fall into the hands of traitors within his own ranks and agents hiding among the British. During the brutal winters of 1777 and 78, at Valley Forge, with his troops starving, freezing, and dwindling in numbers, Washington penned fake documents that referred to phantom infantry and cavalry regiments to convince British General Senior William Howe that the rebels were too strong to attack. It worked, and had Howe known the truth and pressed advantage, the Continental Army might not have survived the winter.
That's a double for you. You want to say something on it?
No, I was just going back to how they used lies upon lies to govern, manipulate the people, and it's also to take over countries. Shows you that. I mean, he had to fake it, he had to lie just so he could get the upper hand. And that's the same thing that's going on now. They still lying.
They still stay lying when it comes to these wars. There's weapons of mass destruction. Now it gives them a reason to go over there and dropping drones, sending drones, and ISIS and all these groups. These what they call them, terror cells. It's a whole bunch of bullshit, man.
Lying about secret weapons that they have in possession, knowing damn well they don't maximize their potential, and they finished.
There's certain cars that the ISIS use. They have turrets on the back of them. They're made in Texas. There's they were circled. Yeah. They were found made in Texas, United States. It's like people are wondering. It's weird. Like people just find out.
I got a quick piece for you.
How much time we got on that?
We have 40 minutes.
Go ahead.
Okay. Now this is Psalm 58 verse 3. And he says, "The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies."
Right, and that's the only way these devils can get by, man, is by lying. That's the only way they can get by. Okay? I mean, the scriptures speak about thou shalt not lie. Okay? That's what Esau thrives off of. There's no other way around him being as successful as he is. He's that way because he lied to get there. He really didn't earn shit. He raped, robbed, stole, he lied his way. And now when you look at the history books, as we're getting into, he was supposed to invent the ice box. That's a lie. Stop lights. That's a lie. All this is a lie.
And I was gonna add too. When you even look into Nero Caesar, he even lied and said that the Christians or the Israelites burned down the city, burned down Rome, just so he could persecute and rebuild a new city or build a new building. So going back to him lying. He's been doing it since the beginning.
And then also too,
False flags.
I'm also add too. I'm not too sure if that's how it goes, but I read a history about the Domitius. You know, Domitian. You know, when one got plagued with type of disease, he blamed it on the Christian also, saying that it was because of them. You know, so and they slaughtered a lot of those Christians in Rome.
That goes back to Genesis. Cain and Abel. That first lie that was told on earth. Where's your brother? I don't know. You know, my brother's keeper.
Oh, and damn well he killed him. Yep. That's the devil. That's the devil. That's the spirit of the devil for you. Yep. All right, let me get this real quick. Because we need, we're going to be separated from these people, man. The angel shall come forth and sever the wicked from among the just. Okay? So for anybody out there who's saying that we're all going to be together and the Edomites and the Israelites can get together and live in harmony, that's all bullshit. We got to have slaves, man. We got this devil here, whom is the discussion of today's subject, he's going to be one of our slaves, man. He's going to be one of our slaves. He's going to come back as a newborn baby, and we are going to be able to pinpoint who you are, you devils. You ain't going to be able to just come out and be like, yeah, nobody knows who I am. I'm just going to keep quiet. Go ahead, brother.
Revelations chapter 13, verse 10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. Yep. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword.
Isn't that what this devil did? You see him on the horse with a sword in his hand? You damn right he used it, man. As cunning and as deceptive as he was, he didn't have no problem taking people out, man, and then blaming on somebody else. Because that's what Esau does. Esau would drop a bomb on somebody and be like, well, who did that? How did that start? Who's the cause of this?
9/11.
Yeah, 9/11. Right. Oh, somebody else took down the towers. You know, some terrorists came over here in a fucking airplane. Go ahead. Hold on.
The people that take Isaiah chapter 49, verse 22. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, I will lift up my hand to the Gentiles and set up my standard to the people, and they shall bring thy sons in their arms, and daughters shall be carried on their shoulders. Verse 23. And kings shall be thy nursing fathers, and queens thy nursing mothers, and they shall bow down unto thee with their face toward the earth, and look up the dust of thy feet, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord, and they shall not be ashamed that wait on me.
Right, and that's what happened, man. All these rulers, all these elites, these top elites, we're gonna be buried in these caves and shit. When we get over there, they're gonna lick up the dust of our feet, man. They're gonna bow down to us and lick up the dust of our feet. And if you choose not to do it, you will be put to death. That's the bottom line. There's no ifs and buts about it, man. There's no ifs and buts about it. You know, do unto her double as she has done unto you. Right? I don't get what people don't understand about that. These devils did enough on our people, man. Even to this very day, we're all fucked up and sick because of this devil. Go ahead.
Obadiah 1 verse 15. For the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen, as thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thy own head.
That's right. That's right. So George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, all these so-called presidents, man, they're all Edomites, all of them. And they all had one common cause: to lie, cheat, and deceive, and kill the children of Israel. At the end of the day, man, especially that devil Abraham Lincoln as well. But they all have done it.
I was in school. When I was in school, right, they taught me that the founding father were great men. Like they care about the slaves.
Well, they are great men. You know, to Edomites.
Yeah.
Edomites, they hail these guys, man. They have done nothing but wickedness.
Amos chapter 1 verse 11. Thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4 I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because he did pursue his brother with the sword, and he did cast off all pity, when his anger did tear perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever.
Right, he kept his wrath forever. And this is why you see what you're seeing to this very day. Jake getting gunned down by the streets by these cops. You got an Edomite on trial right now for shooting a nigga in his own apartment, man. He's in his own goddamn house having some ice cream, and he gets fucking blasted with a couple slugs. And this bitch talking about, oh, I thought I was in my own apartment. What kind of shit is that, man? Now they're trying to determine whether or not it was murder. That's fucking murder.
That's so funny. How the hell you could leave and go to work and you come back and your door is open and...
Right. and the shit that you have in your house isn't there no more.
Yeah.
This Jake had a big fucking red goddamn doormat in front of his door. Right. This bitch come up, see the doors ajar. You know, most people come and say, "But yo, what the fuck you doing? What are you doing in here?" You have a kind of little dialogue.
Then you get the fisticuff.
Right. You don't pull out the piece and bang bang. What you doing in here? Yeah. You know, as Esau says, shoot first, ask questions last. That's Esau's model.
Can I bring you one more article? Now, this is from the George Washington Slavery Journal. Now he says, I'm just going to jump out to the point. He says, during the Revolutionary War, while a new nation in America was being founded, stating that all men are created equal and guaranteed independence for all, Washington correspondents indicate that he had not given much thought to the plight of African Americans. Washington not only refused to take a public stand against slavery, but he took action that favored the retention of African Americans as slaves. So pretty much, you know, the whole concept of independence was created for all, and of course, it have been said in document history that Washington have freed some slaves. He never freed a single slave in his whole entire life. You know, and that's why I sent the headline. He said George Washington never set a single slave free in his lifetime. You know, so it's all a bunch of lies. But yet, when I was in school, they were teaching now, oh yeah, he did free the slave, but not according to true history, the true fact.
Right. Well, you teach that to an unwilling people who don't read, who don't desire to read. And that's what they say. You want to hide something from a nigga, put it in the book. Right? You see? But that's the way we're taught. We take what Esau said. Yeah, okay, that's what he said. Okay, no problem. Okay, Africans are selling Africans. Hey, no problem. But be that as it may, man, you know, Lord willing, we're gonna come out with another what's it called? GMS field trip. We're gonna come out with another field trip. Like we said, there's a lot of monuments around here. We're gonna try to delve into all of them, you know, and bring out the key points. You know, this devil here will just happen to be his lucky week. And, he's a devil who has slaves, and once again, he will be in slavery of his damn self. All right. So, anybody got anything else?
Good. You know 9/11 and how they had to place the towers.
Right.
They fund their $500 billion each year going into the budget of the defense of America.
Of course.
So how is that much money going to defense? But yeah, you can't stop two planes.
But since 9/11, if people take an airplane and you look at the breakdown of the ticket, you automatically give money to the terrorist fund to prevent terrorists from jumping on or hijacking airplanes. I don't want to give my money to these motherfuckers. Let them get on the planes. Don't take my money. I don't authorize you to take my money, but that's what they do. They take your money to the terrorist fund, where it gives the government, you know, billions of dollars annually. Now you think about it. For the amount of people that travel on airlines, and for the amount of money that a ticket costs, they're taking at least 3 to 4% of that money and putting it to that little fund, man. So for what?
For the government. That again is funny. Saudi Arabia, all the people who were on the plane who they said was in 9/11 were from Saudi Arabia. All the terrorists were from Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is America's closest ally.
Right.
Never trust our enemy.
Right. That's right. Well, you know what? And but here's what you do. You set people up, so-called, that you can trust. Okay? You ain't gonna go to your enemy and say, hey, we're gonna do this, you wanna help us out? No, you go to your ally. Listen, here's what we're gonna do. Because why? That's that word conspire. They all breathe together.
Right. And they always tell you, like, look at to see who stands to gain from something.
Right.
And when you look at all the actions being taken in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia stands to gain alongside with America and all this, even with a war with Iran. You know? They stand to gain. Trying to monopolize the oil out of the Middle East.
All right, so with that, we're going to give all praise to
Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushua, Hashem, Hakadosh.
Come on to the apostles, great millstone, shalom to the brethren on highways and byways doing the work, continually, sincerely fight the good fight of faith. Lord willing, we'll see you brother on another spot. Until then, we say shalom.
Shalom.